You're watching Sunday Sound Off with Frank Boal.
Welcome back to Sunday Sound Off and our first hot topic of the night. What is your level of concern for the Royals offense? They're down here, TJ, really right at the bottom, about 26th in Major League Baseball scoring runs. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, they've been down there for the last few years, so I feel like if you're concerned this year, then you were concerned the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that. This is a free swing lineup that they're going to strike out a lot. They're going to put the ball in play a lot as well. But you know, look, they're not a home run hitting team. They're not a team that's going to draw a lot of walks. They're not a team that's going to drive in a lot of runs. They're just not. That's not their identity. But if they can get a close score, I think what we've seen is that if late in games they have a winnable scenario, that they can actually follow through with that. So I think a lot of their problems right now, at least statistically in the overall numbers, is the fact that they've been in so many lopsided score tallies so far this season that I feel like they just kind of give up. But you give them some good situational baseball to play in, I feel like this offense can be productive.
Yeah, but Blair, the interesting thing too with this, you see everybody hit home runs against them, but they don't hit home runs against them. I mean, now Kendrys Morales hit a couple today, but normally they just don't hit the long ball.
No, they don't. Cuthbert hit one as well today, too, which, in fact, he hit it to left center. I didn't realize Cuthbert had the kind of power that he has displayed this year. 7 home runs for him, 14 from the third base position. I think if Mike Moustakas hadn't gotten hurt and he'd said he'd have 14 home runs right now, you'd be pretty satisfied with the offense from that position. But you know, you bring up a good point, Frank, and there's a couple of things here. You know, the Royals' power numbers are what they are. They're on pace to hit about as many home runs as they've hit the last couple of years. Their team batting average is high. It's the second highest batting average in baseball, but the runs per game are lower than you'd expect. And it's not been a good. The home runs are down, and so are extra base hits. They're really low in doubles and triples this year, and this is, they're playing a park that's supposed to, they're supposed to take advantage of their speed and the gaps to have the extra base hits. They're down in those categories. Look, Morales, he's heating up. Alex Gordon is back. Cuthbert's hitting the ball. Whit Merrifield's a leadoff hitter. I think this team's going to generate offense now. And they had a good weekend. Even in the 2 blowout losses to Houston, they scored some runs, and they scored enough today. I think they're going to be okay.
Saran, what do you think?
It pains me to say TJ made a good point, but I'm going to say that and go back to something he mentioned when we were talking about the pitching side of things. Look, when you don't get good starting pitching, the offense shuts down, and we know that the Royals, when they haven't gotten the good starting pitching, it's been really bad. And the offense, I think, does shut it down. When you're getting blasted like they did in those first 2 games against the Astros, I don't know that you can really measure the offense. Now, some of that's, it takes away a little bit because they put up a decent run total in a couple of those games, but there are other games earlier in the year where they just weren't in it because they had a bad pitching performance and they didn't really show up. I'm not that panicked. Look, I don't like that Mike Moustakas is down, but Chester Cuthbert's shown me a lot. I mean, he hasn't really had this kind of power in the minors. He's had better doubles power, and I think that's what you'll see more out of him. I don't want people to think he's going to hit 25 home runs this year, but he's showing some pretty good extra base pop. We've seen something out of Brett Eibner. We're seeing Whit Merrifield look like he could be the real deal. There's still time for the league to adjust to him, but I think they've had some good answers for this team. And again, I don't think they're going to go out and get a major piece like Ben Zobrist, but I think there could be a bat that comes in and helps them out with a platoon. So I'm not panicked. I think Hosmer's turning the corner. Morales' power bat's coming around, which is what they really need in the middle of that lineup. I think Kane will have his day. I think they're okay. Alex Gordon needs to hit, and if that happens, I think they're going to be fine offensively as well.
All right, here's our second hot topic of the evening as we switch gears. What should the NBA draft tell college basketball's underclassmen? Blair, I heard you and Saran discuss this topic earlier this week on his show. What are your thoughts about what happened in the draft?
Well, how dull was it for fans of college basketball to watch the draft earlier this week? I'm waiting for familiar names to pop up, and those were few and far between. I don't keep up with the international game like Fran Fraschilla does. He spends all that time over there scouting those guys, and that's great for the information, but we don't know those players. And look, Saren's got the numbers. Was it 27 out of the 60 players that were drafted were either foreign born, right? They could have played American college, but they were foreign born. So. Look, here's what happens. These foreign players, NBA teams can draft them and stash them. They don't have to. They don't play. They don't all play in the NBA right away. But if you're a college player, you get drafted. You don't get to go back to college. You have to sign. And so Tom Izzo, the Michigan State coach, made a good point this weekend after the draft and said we've got to reevaluate. College basketball in the NBA has to take a hard look at how it's treating the college players. Should college players allowed to go back to their college teams if they've declared for the draft and they're not drafted, or if they're drafted and don't like their position, can they go back and play college basketball?
Look, and the numbers are, the numbers are 27 out of 34 foreign born, 15 from outside the United States when it comes to college basketball, 12 more like Buddy Hield that are, raised someplace else that were then played college basketball here and went in. So almost half are foreign players. I mean, what should it tell the player? I think it's, number one, we need to get better. Look, I hear everybody talk about soccer and how, oh, well, we don't really try at soccer. Well, I guess we're trying at basketball. We might want to try harder when, just barely more than half are American players that are getting taken. So maybe the arrogance around soccer, like we don't really try. Well, we're getting beat, too, when we do try at basketball. But I don't think it's that big a deal. I think Blair made a great point. Look, the part that you can draft a European player and stash them makes them a more attractive draft pick. But you can still, like Perry Ellis, go play in Europe, get better, and maybe go on to be DeMarre Carroll. DeMarre Carroll has life-altering money in his contract that he signed with the Toronto Raptors after getting better in Europe, coming to the U.S., playing well for the Hawks, and then signing a free agent deal. So it shouldn't crush anybody's dream just because you don't get drafted. But I do think the one thing it says when you see Wayne Selden, you see Perry Ellis, not getting picked, if you do want to get drafted, you need to go early when you still have upside, or you better get better every year in college basketball the way Buddy Hield did. And if you do, both Buddy Hield and a couple of guys were seniors that still got drafted very high in this one. So either go, get out early, or get a lot better, and you can still get drafted here.
Yeah, I still think some of these guys are getting bad information about where they think they're going to go in a draft. TJ?
Some of them are getting good information and just ignoring it, too. I think that's also a huge part of the problem. But let's just be honest about the reality of the situation here. These players are, if you're young and you have upside, we hear that term all the time in the draft. If you're a player with upside, you need to go to the NBA as quickly as possible, because the longer you stay in college, the more people think there's something wrong with you, or there's some sort of problem. If your dream is to play professional basketball, you need to go as soon as possible, or not play in college at all. The thing about it is that nobody is going to develop you to be an NBA player better than the NBA. So if college likes to think that their place in the universe is something that it isn't. Right now, you are a filter for talent for the NBA. And I think the sooner that they come to accept that, I think the better information players will get moving forward.
All right, final hot topic of the evening. We do this quickly, gentlemen. Will the experiment to lure Rams fans into the Chiefs' kingdom work? Seren?
No, absolutely not. You don't get to sit and bash a city all the time and then just think that St. Louis fans are going to go, oh, you rip on the Cardinals all the time, but yeah, I want to be a Chiefs fan. Look, will they get a handful of Chiefs fans that were Chiefs fans before the Rams came to St. Louis? Yes, I think they will. But look, the bottom line is this. It's a good move for the Chiefs. You should do everything you can to increase your ticket base wherever you can and increase your fan base wherever you can. The bottom line is the Chiefs bread is going to get buttered by people who live in the metro area or at least within a couple of hours. Yes, they'll get a handful of fans from St. Louis. No, it's not going to be a windfall that suddenly we see this massive caravan coming across from St. Louis.
Police escort. TJ, quickly.
Yeah, no, I think it's ridiculous. What are we going to send Casey Wolf and a couple of cheerleaders over there? What are they going to do? Look, the only thing that they can do to win fans in St. Louis is win, and win a lot.
There you go. What do you think, Blair?
Well, let's just make this Blues Kingdom. We'll have a swap, We'll be a Blues town. They can be a Chiefs town, and we can just trade franchises, and we'd be one big happy Missouri sports family.
Well, I love that. Now, there's the easy solution to that whole thing, and then we can, the Cardinals will be here right away. We're going to rip on the Cardinals. They'll be in their next 4 games against Cardinals. Up next, going to get some final thoughts from the panel. It's their time to sound off on anything that's on their minds. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.